Hello and welcome to my video. My name is Christian Graham, and this is case 3, which is involving the gene patenting case with Myriad Genetics. I'm going to be getting into 5 things in this video, which are: what is a patent, what are the facts of the case, what is the issue regarding genes, what is the issue regarding DNA sequences, and is it legal to patent DNA sequences and genes. And as you can see, I'm not in my room. This is week 9, spring break. I have my pretty Detroit posters on the wall, and I'm ready to break down this case for you guys. So let's get into the first thing, which is: what is a patent? And in the language of the statute, any person who invents or discovers any new and useful process, machine, manufacture, or composition of matter, or any new and useful improvement thereof may obtain a patent. So basically, as long as you're creating something new, you're all going to make a patent. And typically these patents last about 20 years from the application date of the patent that is filed. And another interesting thing too is these countries actually have agreements with each other to honor each other's patents. So if the United States has agreement with a country to honor your patent, you're all good. You're covered in both countries. But if someone's messing around with what you have patented and that country is not covered by the United States' agreements, you actually have no legal recourse against them, which is really awful if you think you're covered and you're actually not. So let's get into the facts of this case 3. And this is really interesting because before 2010, companies were actually allowed to patent genes. But in 2010, a ruling regarding Myriad Genetics and its gene patents, a federal judge ruled that genes were unpatentable. And then this is actually a huge deal because in 2005, 20% of human genes were patented. So you have a lot of angry companies that spent a lot of money that is now wasted. But actually, an appeals court overturned this ruling shortly after. So they said that genes could be patented. And then in 2013, we went right back where the Supreme Court said, no, genes cannot be patented because they are naturally occurring and nothing new is created. So we kind of touched on that earlier about how as long as something is created, you're all good for your patent. And the Supreme Court found that nothing new is created and genes are naturally occurring. So this is not okay. So let's get into the issue regarding genes. And I touched on that earlier, but that's basically that genes are naturally occurring and you cannot patent them. And the issue regarding DNA sequences is there's kind of 2 things I want to touch on here. First, that Myriad Genetics was actually, when they were patenting their genes, they were actually patenting 15 base pair sequences, which means if you have your cytosine, your guanine, this is one base pair, right? They were actually patenting 15 of these base pairs in a double helix, and that was containing the gene they were trying to patent, but that was actually not legal because they were patenting way more than just that gene. So that was an issue, and then also there's another issue with just that. Sorry, I just want to check my notes here for a second. But the Supreme Court ruled that complementary DNA was able to be patented, and as long as the sequence is altered in the lab, the sequence could be patented. So as long as the sequence is not naturally occurring in nature, and the scientists were actually changing the sequence, you're able to patent it. So that kind of gets into the next thing, which is, can you patent genes and can you patent DNA sequences? And you cannot patent genes, as we saw in the Supreme Court case in 2013, but you can actually patent DNA sequences as long as they were altered in the lab. So I want to thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something.